much for getting all this organised. This is our first of our webinars. We hope the internet stays up, and we have a very successful webinar. Okay, quick introduction. My name is Brian Poots. I started the Northern Ireland Forest School Association charity back in 2008, so quite a while ago now. Basically, it's an independent charity, and the sole aim is to inspire children to get outside and to learn through engagement with the natural world. That's really what we're about. We're just trying to teach kids outside, enjoying all the benefits of being outside. Oops, sorry, there's a wee fly buzzing around me. Enjoying the benefits of being outside. We do that through a series of programs. We do it firstly through the Forest School Awards, which is supported by local councils. So local councils fund us to work with schools and nurseries in their council area, and we usually involve schools going out to local parks on a 6-week program, and there we undertake the Forest School Awards qualification, which is a level 3 qualification, and that gives those teachers the confidence to be able to take their learning outside. So there's a bit of theory involved in that, looking at the history of forest schools, but also looking at the sort of the benefits of forest schools and why we do it, because it fits in with so many government strategies. It fits in the curriculum, and it's perfect for all of those things. But it's also very much a practical qualification. You know, it's 6 weeks hands-on. By the end of it, they should have the confidence and the experience to be able to continue the program without us. We're still there to support through our website. For those of you that are logged onto our website, will know that there's literally hundreds of lesson plans. There's some training videos that we're starting that are already up there, research material, etc., etc. So a whole support mechanism there for schools and teachers to be able to continue that learning outside journey. Richard runs our Clannyboy Nature Rangers, which is here at Clannyboy Estate in Northstown. It's an after schools program, so we pick up about 21 kids every day, bring them out to Clannyboy, and here they spend the whole afternoon outside exploring and learning with their friends, and it's a wonderful experience. It really, really is so great, and this is an area that we want to expand on. This is where we see NIFSA developing in the future, is really establishing more nature ranger centres across the province. We think this is our way forward, and how we'll be able to support you at a sort of a local level. Also run Clannyboy Forest School Families. Danielle, who is taking notes at the minute, she has been busy over this whole lockdown time, and she has been posting Forest School family events every day to inspire families to get out into their gardens and to be able to do simple activities but meaningful and quality time with their kids. And again, this is an area we hope to focus more on in the future as well. But anyway, I'd like to welcome all of our panelists. So we have Joan Henderson, education mentor. She is going to be talking about the benefits of being outside. I think during this pandemic, during these times of upheavals, sometimes there are opportunities within those times, and I think this is definitely one of those times. The opportunity for getting outside and for experiencing the benefits of being outside. I think it definitely is to be embraced. I think it really, really is. We have Dr. Catherine Scully, principal of Jordanstown School, and Catherine is going to be talking about special SEN and how Jordanstown has embraced the whole forest school ethos as well, and the benefits that their school and their pupils see about getting outside as well. And lastly, we have Emma, Rathcole Primary School, and Emma is passionate. I know Joan and Catherine are as well, but Emma definitely is passionate about the whole getting outside bit. She really, really is, and Emma is going on a whole new journey to get the whole school involved in this. So hats off, Emma, and good luck and all of that. But a very exciting journey, and one that we hope that, or one that NIFSA will definitely help in whatever way we can. You know, we see the benefits for all key stages, all ages, all abilities. You know, it is so important for everybody. So a quick note of reflection: we started Clandeboy Nature Rangers at the start of July there. So we have 16 kids coming out to Clandeboy every day, and all they want to do is to get out and run and play, and that's all they want to do. It is so important emotionally and spiritually for these kids. Just, you know, the joy in their faces about just having that freedom now, it's amazing. Now, we don't know what's going to happen, obviously. Social distancing is still an issue, but where we can, we should definitely be taking kids outside. Anyway, the point about today is we're going to look at a survey. NIFSA sent out a survey on the 4th of June, just to gauge people's thoughts about coming back in September or August. What are the issues going to be faced, and will there be more opportunity for taking kids outside, whether it be school grounds or local parks? And also how NIFSA can help in that. You know, we're here ultimately to get more kids outside. That's what we want to do. So I'm going to quickly go over the surveys. Please join in our chat. Oh, in fact, before I do that, housekeeping. Sorry. I should have gone through housekeeping. Okay. So everyone except the panel, can you turn off the video and just mute your microphone, please? Webinar, this is being recorded, so it will go up on the NIFSA website, and if you want to put links to it, that's great. That would be super. Use the chat function to make comments and to ask questions. We're hoping, you know, we're aiming to finish at 11, so I'm going to talk quickly. Aiming to finish at 11. May run on for a little bit. We'll just see how it goes, see how the questions keep coming. But please do put your questions up. If we don't get a chance to answer them now, and we look at them, and we have everybody's email address, so we'll maybe do a summary that we will send out to people. As we go along, Richard is going to put up some links in the chat room. So there will be links to Emma's presentation, to the actual survey results, etc., etc. So please go on to that. And I think that is it. Okay, yes, that is it. Housekeeping rules over. Okay. So the survey, looking at the survey, we have about 1,500 registered users using our website. So we sent that out to all of them on the 4th of June, and we got back just under 200 replies. So we thought that was very, very encouraging. Mainly primary schools. We had just under 100 primary schools getting back to us. Say that is our main focus. We do want to develop into secondary and everything else, but just with resources and everything else, we need to concentrate on primary just to get them up and going, and then we can look at developing the whole sort of secondary school model as well. Okay, so looking at some of the specific questions that we put out there, we asked whether we asked whether there was opportunity during all of this time to take more learning outside. We had 99%. We had 99% of people saying yes. This is definitely a great opportunity to develop our outdoor learning space. So we thought that was brilliant. So really, really good. Obviously, slightly biased survey. That was a really positive response. And certainly if you look at in other countries like Scotland, Scotland is really embracing the whole outdoor education movement. And it always has really, but it's even stepping up. So we don't want to be left behind, and we want to be able to, you know, to do our bit as well and to take advantage of this. Okay. Two main concerns relating to coming back in August and September. So looking at them, the first one was how to look at social distancing measures. That is a real issue. You know, I was doing some voluntary work at different schools over the summer to take their kids out, and it really was difficult. I'm going to say it's nearly impossible. I think we can say, and we can reinforce what social distancing is and why it's important, but I think it's going to be really difficult to enforce. And I think practically, if you're thinking about, you know, can it be 100% guaranteed? I'm going to say that's going to be really difficult. So it's an ongoing issue, and guidelines will change as we go along, as we've seen. Some countries have forgotten about social distancing. Still recommend it, but understand the complexities involved in trying to enforce it. Also, how to adapt to COVID-19. Again, we're finding out more surveys are coming about how it's transmitted. Is it airborne? Is it globular? Lots of different things. And again, this is ongoing. I think, certainly for the time being, this is a new world. I mean, we'll just have to look at the guidelines that come out and just deal as effectively as we can as those guidelines come out. Guidelines need to be practical as well. We heard just recently there's no additional money for schools coming back. So how are they meant to implement all of these changes if they're going to have to be changes made? Very difficult. It's very difficult and challenging times. So all to be sorted. Online training. I know teachers will have been zoomed out during the stage, but it is definitely a wonderful tool. It is a fantastic tool, and it's such a great mechanism for keeping in touch. This is our first webinar, and one that we will be following up on a regular basis. So we will certainly be developing training videos and training webinars to look at all of those issues that have been raised and how we can deal most effectively with them. Again, looking at the training videos, we put out a specific question was, what training videos would you like to see? And again, adapting to COVID-19 was up there. Typical outdoor session, what does a typical outdoor session involve? And we have Catherine, we have Emma from the two different schools. And again, they are exemplary. And again, they will talk about that and hopefully about the first steps that other organisations can take. 90% of schools have said, or of organisations said, a national outdoor learning centre. Okay, I feel that's important. To be honest, I don't feel it's a necessity at this stage. I think it's something we can work towards. It's one of those nice things that once all the crisis is over, it would be nice to follow up on, but not essential at this particular time. Okay, the link is there for you to go and have a look at the survey results. But the survey results were encouraging. Most people want to get outside. So I'm now going to introduce Joan Henderson, and she will talk a little bit about the benefits of being outside. Thank you, Joan.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Brian. Do you hear me? So I've unmuted myself, that's good. It's interesting just listening to the children in the background. This Zooming and online training is certainly very challenging. And working from home it's usually my dog that does the barking that causes me the problems. But with the online training and what you said, Brian, in relation to the children coming back, online training is wonderful. It is a wonderful tool. We learn an awful lot, but I don't know about you, but you concentrate so hard, you're exhausted, you're drained afterwards. And I think for the children coming back, especially those who have been involved in some kind of blended learning, the outdoors and play and learning more practically is even more vitally important than ever. You've asked me along this morning, and thank you so much. It's very nice to join you all, and thank you everyone for taking some time out at the beginning of a holiday to once again focus on how we can be the best we can be in planning ahead. None of us know what's going to happen in September, and I think that's we're all out of our comfort zone, and I think it's just taking it a day at a time, taking on board all of the guidance as it comes, and being realistic and using a common sense approach. We all want to have our routines and experiences, but we want them to be as practical and as calming for us all in helping us move forward. And I think that's both for children and staff. If we look at all of the research, we know that children learn best by being more practically involved and active. And until the age of 9, children's learning occurs best when their whole self is involved. And if we look at the Northern Ireland curriculum, and I think we need to remind ourselves, both for the primary and for the preschool, It is very much a holistic program, and we must remember that. So therefore, our experiences and activities should be holistic or child-centered, and that is valuing the importance of the real experiences, the practical and active. And certainly my experiences of being an early years teacher is that all children benefit the best from those practical and active experiences. Outdoors, the benefits of it. Well, we are all able to relax and enjoy ourselves when we go outside, and that's one thing that I think everybody has appreciated from the pandemic. They've gone outside where they can, and for those of us who are lucky enough to have gardens or roads to walk on, we have had a richer appreciation of the environment that we work and live in. Certainly the bird song has been absolutely wonderful. And when you look around, despite the challenges that we were all faced with, we were still getting new growth, the new buds, the new flowers. And it was very much part of a healing process, I think, for all of us when we were feeling a little bit down or a little bit challenged or a little bit alone. So I think we've all appreciated the beauty and experience of what the outdoors bring. Certainly for me personally, if I'm having a hard time, I will go for a walk. I will go out into the garden. And I know that it is very powerful in making me realize that while I might be worried, it's not taking over my life. It's about balancing and grounding myself again. For the children, I think what you said about them coming back, they just want to play. That is just so wonderful. But we've always got to remember there are so many natural learning opportunities through play that are not always planned for, but it's through our skills as teachers that we can benefit and extend those. So children, if they feel more relaxed and freer, they're more likely to feel calmer, and therefore they're more likely to be able to learn. And we don't know what our children are going to be like when they come back. Some of them will just continue on and have had a very positive experience, but there will be other children who have had a more difficult and challenging time, and therefore we're just going to have to monitor those children more carefully and provide more opportunities for them to have those little periods of rest or relaxation or just getting out to catch your breath, so to speak. So we will realize that that is something that will develop over time. Our children have so many different learning styles, and the auditory learners are the ones that will sit down and take it all on board, probably more easily. But for the most of our children in our classes, there might be more visual or kinesthetic learners, and they need to be moving about and more active. And when you think about the outdoors and the space, no matter what space you have, it increases your space tenfold. And therefore, if we are working in little bubbles, it provides us with more opportunities to have indoors and outdoors. So those play or activity-based learning sessions, I think, are going to become even more important than ever, because it gives us the opportunity to use the space more beneficially for us all. There are greater variety of activities that we can provide if we go outdoors and indoors, and we can look at the zones. Emma and Catherine have already gone down that journey, and certainly from the visits that I've had with those schools that already appreciate the value of outdoors, it immediately provides a wider, enriched range of experiences for the children, and the outdoors adds because it's different. Children's brain and memory improves because they're more relaxed when they're outside. So when they are coming in to become more focused or to concentrate more, they're probably in a better frame of mind in order to do that. But when they are outdoors, it's quite remarkable when you watch them carefully exactly what they're taking in. Our immune systems. And I mean, I think honestly, Brian, from what you were saying before, until we get the vaccine, we're really not out of the woods. But how can we encourage our immune systems to be as healthy and as strong as possible? And by going outside, I think that really does help our all-round immune system to be more able to take on infections. We can't cure it as I say, until there's a vaccine. But what we can do is try to be as fit and able as possible, and certainly by going outdoors, that helps us all. It increases our energy, it regulates our weight, it improves our muscles and bone development. So there are so many pluses. It also helps us sleep better, and I think for all of us that is important. There are so many skills as part of the Northern Ireland curriculum, and the list is endless. But when you see the children going outside, it immediately increases those opportunities for the 5 senses to be used. And for a lot of our children, that will be very important, because we can see when they're inside, sometimes they have little struggles or difficulties or challenges processing sensory experiences and activities. Risk-taking. I think sometimes schools are a little bit hesitant, not only because of the weather in Northern Ireland, but because the risks outside. Yes, we need risk assessments. Yes, we need to be safe and keep the children safe. But there are so many benefits in helping children becoming aware of risks and risk-taking. And sometimes if we don't do that, we are actually doing them a disfavour. Health and safety is very important, and sometimes those conversations go on and they become quite heated. But I think what we've got to remember is, if we look at all of the research again, if we do not give our children those opportunities outdoors, we really are not helping their emotional development, and it is at a cost. So we want to encourage the holistic development of our children, and that means going outside. Health and safety is important in relation to the social distancing. I would say, Brian, you're absolutely right. I don't think the social distancing really works with children. Yes, we can make them aware of it. Yes, we can inform them. But some of our children are coming back with the view that maybe they're not allowed to see their grandparents. So therefore, unintentionally, they begin to see that they are a little bit of a threat to others, and I think that can be quite damaging for children. And when they are together, they need to be together. They need to develop those social skills. We need human connection. So I'm looking forward to listening to Catherine and Emma in relation to what they're actually doing to share with others the benefits and the richness of the experiences of what we can be given our children every day. And I hope that covers a little bit for you of the benefits. I'm sorry, I've no time here. I've probably gone over.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Joan. That was absolutely perfect. It's very much setting the scene about the benefits. Joan gives an excellent snapshot there, of why we want to get our children outside, and again, some of the challenges that are going to be facing everybody come August and September. Without further ado, I'm going to present Dr. Catherine Scully, Principal at Jordanstown School. Catherine, over to you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Brian. Good morning, everyone. So I suppose I should begin by introducing the school a little bit, because I think the context is very important. So we're a small special school focusing on children who are deaf or visually impaired, and catering for young people from the ages of 4 to 19. So I thought, because so much of what people are going to take away from this is really dependent on the space and the people that you have, what I'm going to do, just going to tell you as it is in Jordanstown School, a bit of a scattergun approach. I'm just going to put it out there, and in that I hope that maybe you might, in your own context, hear something that you like, that you feel could work with your shape of space and your people. So Jordanstown School is hugely fortunate to have a really large nature reserve and some really passionate staff. I came to the school in September, and so this all predates me. The nature reserve began to be developed 4 or 5 years ago, and it's really extensive. It's got trees with apple trees, wildflowers, raised beds where vegetables and herbs are growing. There's a pond with pond flowers and tadpoles. We've put in and we've installed bird boxes, bug hotels. There are log piles, a greenhouse made of plastic bottles, because sustainability and the environment are hugely important here. We built a TP, again, from recycled materials that serves as a sort of a den come creative area. So that's the big area that we have adjacent to the school. And there's also kind of just in a paved area next door, right outside the school, is also a willow tunnel where we have raised beds for growing vegetables on days that we don't feel like walking up the nature reserve. So that's the facility and the sorts of things that are done. Well, I think there are two levels that, when we are bringing the children out, there are two main reasons. Number one is for direct learning that is related to the curriculum. And the other is what Joan talked about, that regulation, that sort of emotional, spiritual side of helping them to be regulated. So it's directly related to the curriculum. It'll be no surprise here, there's so many opportunities for the world around us. The life cycle of frogs, bug hunts, patterns and symmetry. We do science experiments. We can group things in sets and lead to mathematical skills and so on. So that's sort of science in the world around us. There's so much creativity possible, using their imagination to play, do storytelling in the TP, doing arts and crafts using natural and recycled materials, photography, and also just promoting sustainable living and trying to use the resources that our precious planet has. And all of that, it is a hugely sensory experience for all our children. And I really want to say here that although we are a special school, although we are focusing on children who are deaf or visually impaired, this is something for everyone. It is so inclusive, and our staff absolutely love it and benefit from it as well. So every sense is catered for. Obviously the sounds, there are natural sounds and sounds that we create. So, even it's a very mindful experience. So we're listening to things like, the wind in the trees. For children who, obviously some of our children are deaf, but for those children who are visually impaired, they're able to listen to, the wind in the trees, maybe water tinkling over a rock. We also place things like tubes that tinkle in the wind. So that sound is very important. Also, sights are hugely important for our deaf children, where they notice patterns and colour and light and just that connection. Deaf children really need the abstract to be brought to life, things that they've heard about in the classroom. They really need to see them as much as possible. So that sight is stimulated in the nature reserve. We plant things particularly that have lovely smells, lavenders and herbs and so on. And we can see the delight in all of them when they smell something interesting. Different surfaces, which are particularly important for children who are visually impaired, to feel different things. Sometimes they see through their sense of touch, and you can see their joy. Sometimes even just in getting their hands into a handful of clay is a really joyful experience for them. And for all of them, there's a really rich language development, talking about describing things, about their colours, their textures, the names of plants and creatures. So there's a really rich language development. And as Joan said so rightly, in the nature reserve, outside, they are so ready to learn, they are so receptive, and you can see the development. We don't encourage them to put things into their mouths when they're outside, but we do grow things, and then we bring them into a nice safe environment of the home economics kitchen, where they eventually cook and do taste. So all the senses are catered for. So what do special educational needs children, what are the specific benefits for them? I want to preface this by saying I've always believed that what is good for children with special needs is good for everyone. If you do it well for children that have particular needs, everyone benefits. So the first thing is that wonderful independence and a safe environment. They're being allowed to explore safely. And as Joan rightly said, I feel really passionate about this actually. The taking of a risk is so wonderful for their personal development. But in a place that's safe, where, the worst that might happen is they get muddy or wet or something, but they're taking those risks. And even, exploring for our children who are visually impaired, walking on different terrains, navigating gravel and grass and stones and sticks is wonderful for them. And there's risk there. And also children who are autistic, for whom sensory issues are so challenging at times. Sometimes they can manage their sensory stimulus in the outdoors where they couldn't in the indoors. And I'm thinking of particularly a blind child who's also highly autistic, and how he overcame his fear of walking on gravel. Something as simple as that. That's sensory stimulation. We feel he couldn't have managed inside, but outside he overcame that because of all the emotional benefit of being outside, and his needs were being met in so many other ways. He was able to cope with that challenge for him. I think it develops their sense of self and self-worth, because when they're outside, it is all about what they can do and not what they can't do. It's very organic learning. Yes, there may be a focus, and today we are looking at insects or whatever. But beyond that, we can really allow them to explore and be led by their own creativity and curiosity. And learning difficulties don't matter in the nature reserve. It's all about them exploring, being curious, following what they're interested in. And that leads to, I think, the development of their confidence, because they feel they're achieving. They're not giving a task that they have to tick boxes. They have to do X and Y and Z and this criterion and that criterion. They are just there to learn what they want to learn and explore and experience and enjoy. And I think that develops their confidence. Obviously, I hope you have a sense from what I'm talking about that it's developing their creativity. And there's a wonderful self-expression here in so many different ways. And it also, I think, develops their social skills, because when they're out, I think they tend to forget themselves. They tend to forget what is challenging them, and they begin to communicate more strongly than perhaps when they're inside and constrained in the four walls around them. There's a sort of a tension and an anxiety there that sometimes inhibits them. So I think their social skills develop. I think they develop empathy through their encounter with nature, especially with caring for little creatures, little bugs and birds and butterflies. I think it fosters their resilience. I absolutely love seeing them on a blustery cold day, wrapping up and going out and just getting on with it. I absolutely love to see that. And dealing with challenges and overcoming them. I think it's wonderful for them. And I think in the end, we judge the success of what we do by the children's presentation. And particularly we feel that the children for whom perhaps behaviour is a difficulty and a challenge in the classroom, in the school, very often we see that their behaviour is more regulated, they're happier. And we take that as an indication that their needs are being met outdoors in a way that perhaps isn't necessarily the case indoors. And we think that, and this is particularly relevant for children coming back after the summer, where we don't know what we're going to face. We don't know how they have experienced the last number of months. We would feel that the experience of being outside and doing all these things that I'm talking about is good for trauma experienced children, and that fun and enjoyment and joy and pleasure reduces the stress hormones of cortisol and so on. We think that, you know, this is something that's going to be, we're going to actively use it if we find children stressed or there's trauma. We are going to be actively using outdoor learning. A couple of years ago, the school did some videos that are on the CCEA website. It was called A Window on Special, and the school made 2 videos, which I certainly have really enjoyed. This was before my time at the school, and it really helped me to understand the school and what they do. So there was one video, so it's under, if you Google just CCEA A Window on Special, there's Inclusion Outside, there's one video, and Growing for the Future is another one. And you know, that you might find that interesting for ideas for your own space, your own environment, your own personnel. I would like to offer anyone who wants to come to the school an opportunity to come just for ideas, you know, not to learn so much about Jordanstown, but to come for ideas that you might take back. 1 or 2 good ideas could really be really transformative for a school. And so if you're around tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, or next Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock, so tomorrow, Friday the 10th, or next Thursday the 16th at 2 o'clock, just email the school at the info email address you'll see on our website, if you want to come and just take a walk round. You might learn something, you'll definitely enjoy it, and you would be most welcome. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Okay, thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Catherine. Again, very inspirational. And I think Catherine painted a lovely picture of the school, of the setting, and how passionate the whole school staff are about bringing children outside, because they see so many benefits from it. And certainly I was there assessing Joan for her Forest School Level 3 award. Exemplary, absolutely brilliant. And it was just a marvellous experience to be out there. Congratulations, and thank you for making that offer as well, Catherine. I hope lots of schools take you up on it, because it really is worth a visit just to see. But on that as well, don't be put off by the fact that you don't have, acres and acres of wonderful wild wood out there, or anything else as deer roaming by or anything like that. You don't actually need that. It's just taking those first steps to get outside, whether it's a corner of a playing field or whatever it is. Just take those first steps to get out there, and the adaptability of your staff will cope with whatever is thrown at them. I'm going to introduce now Emma. Emma, again, Rathcole Primary School, exemplary in terms of getting children outside. I'm not going to say any more. I'm just going to hand over to Emma. Emma, thank you very much.
Hello folks, good morning. I feel a little strange talking to a screen at the minute. I'm a very handy talk, so I have to say that I have put a bit of a presentation together so you don't have to look at my face during this either, and I've been told to talk very quickly to get through it all. So again, just to give a wee bit of context, I've been teaching just at Rathcole for over 20 years and took on really the acting principal role. Yeah, there we go, thank you, in 2015, with 52 full-time places in the nursery and an increased enrolment of over 100 MP1 to P7. Approximately 65% SEN need and similar free school meals, and we're a nurture school. We're also in the process of setting up an autism-specific classroom that hopefully will be open in September time, all being well. We're very unique in Rathcole, and a lot of schools say that, but I think you just need to sort of walk in our shoes for a day to really understand the complexities of many as our families and children, but our staff and our families and our pupils, more importantly, are absolutely amazing. I'm going to give a thumbs up to Richard for the next one. The context of our school really meant that an awful lot of children maybe were not attaining high grades or really achieving what was deemed, good enough levels or good enough PTE or PTM scores. And for me, I felt that the issue really wasn't that the children weren't attaining, but maybe the method by which they were learning could really be enhanced in a different way. And I suppose my learning journey as a principal has always been to pause and reflect on how we can improve for the benefit of the children. But what would be the impact for the children if we did go down this route of forest schools and outdoor learning? The next slide there, please. I think after my first child was born in 2009, I was told that after maternity I was going down to the nursery unit or moving to the nursery unit. And after my initial panic and denial that I would ever be in nursery, I used my training days for early years and play. And I suppose you almost got a light bulb moment at that time and really appreciated that the play and activity-based learning was so important no matter what age and stage. And having a random lesson slotted in every now and then wasn't good enough for our children. So I did spend the following years not in nursery, but in P4 to P6 really engaging more practically in my own learning in the classroom, taking risks and having a very noisy classroom at times, and the children really thrived from this. In 2016-17 then, after meeting Brian at a school in Ballyclare, the journey of Forest School really began with me and only really one other volunteer at that time, the P6-7 teacher. We were already a TOPS award school, supported by Playboard and Charlene, who's absolutely fantastic. And for me, I suppose Forest School seemed to really be the natural progression. It was then the vision really of what an outdoor school might be really began at that point. Our school has got amazing grounds that we were desperately trying to fill. We're in walking distance with so many other amenities, for example, at the Valley, Loch Shore, we've got Hazelbank. But I wanted our community really to know that we were already an amazing school and an amazing space. I'd always been involved with conservation volunteers in school grounds planting, and really we planted over 200 shrubs and trees from the Woodland Trust over the past few years. Although staff often cringe when they hear the word trees being mentioned. Brand's been fantastic and has supported really 2 staff working alongside P67. We're registered with the Forest School and made sure we really registered our sessions online with the children. Again, there's no magic tips, there's no big resources that need to be prepared, and the children led the sessions and groups accordingly. And I suppose it was the less academic children that really surprised us. They were the ones who led, asked questions, offered solutions, and really problem solved. We also led a staff inset day with the staff, and one of the good things was we asked everybody to bring along an activity for that day. The non-teaching staff were amazing. Teachers were good too, but the non-teaching staff were outstanding, and you could see the excitement as they led and engaged in the sessions. And 20 women competing to build the best den is absolutely a sight to behold. Forest Schools for us, I suppose, has been about making that regular, sustained contact with nature, about using the natural resources to enhance and extend the children's learning. And again, we've heard about how these benefits stretch right across education, health and environmental policies, but how could we really embed this into your learning and your teaching within the school? I think we've heard very, very clearly there today just about how it links into the Northern Ireland curriculum, and I love a lot of the examples that certainly Catherine has given there, and it's really clearly set the scene. But I suppose for me it was about how were we going to move on from this, the what next, how really were we going to sustain this. I suppose in 5 years' time, I see our school probably genuinely being a forest school. I see a huge portion of lessons being outdoors because they enhance the learning and teaching. Children becoming more independent risk takers in life in general, great team players and really good communicators. And again, as Joan said there, the Northern Ireland curriculum is based on that. A huge change we've made is within our P12 this year, that it's a very fluid session between 10 to 9 and 12. The children move between the indoors and out. It's not been easy. There have been lots of issues, from the dirt and the mud and the cleaners to wrapping up and getting dirty, and from staff questioning what are they actually learning. But the confidence and the learning and the creativity that our P1 and 2 have at present is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm looking forward to see how that grows. And I suppose our role now is to share that with the Inspectorate, the Department of Education, parents, schools, leaders, learning communities, so that children don't just become a number in a box in the data, but they actually grow to become who they're actually born to be. But where are we now? I know last year that Louise and I agreed to speak at the Forest School Conference, and we were becoming a champion school. We invited, let's come to our school, see what we're doing, we're going to change the world. I have to say, we went back to school and our own little cocoon in school really closed around us. Louise took on the new role of special needs coordinator. My role's ever fluid and changing, and our idea of championing with everybody went to the bottom of the list, to be totally truthful. So I suppose my lesson from that, be realistic about what you can achieve in your time. However, this term we did plan to use it to train our staff, and then sadly we entered into a March like I suppose no other had happened before. COVID came upon us, and in an instant everything changed. And as a nurturing school, an outdoor school, forest, beach school at times, we were ready for the necessary pastoral care and wellbeing support that our families needed. But right now, I see this as a really amazing opportunity that we can make permanent changes when needed for the benefit of everybody. And as Keith Holmes said from the UNESCO, educational response to the crisis are capable of changing the means, purpose and values of school. What an opportunity we have now. If we don't grasp this, I am convinced that some sort of normality will come back in, and the children may become like robots at home, engaging in virtual learning and communicating solely through the screen. And there's definitely a time and a place for this, but bigger than that, it's about upskilling really our children, our staff and our families about the world in its truest sense, and about being nature, outdoors and humanity. We have to make ourselves progressively unnecessary in order for the best outcome for our children. And then as adults and teachers, we can sit back and engage. So what do we want to do next, and how do we want Brian and the team to support? Well, in our return to school, we're training up around about 10 additional staff, including teaching and non-teaching. Brian's got them all signed up, and hopefully over the summer they're starting on their assignments and getting all of that done. Louise and I are planning to take the bubbles or the groups or the pods or whatever it is they're going to be called during the first number of weeks at Forest Schools, along with the staff that are training. And hopefully we'll be able to work maybe with bigger groups together, socially distanced within our space. and eventually then hopefully we'll be able to seek out then and move out to your local areas. Currently, in terms of planning, we have a rather messy Google Classroom at the minute, I have to say, and there's lessons that have to be prepared for the assignment. What I would love is to be able to collaborate with people and to upskill and bring our lesson planning together. Why not collaborate and share, whether it be through the For School website, whether it be through a shared Google Drive. Why don't we share our learning, link it to topics, link it to year groups, link it to planning, and start to actually build the curriculum where teachers and staff can just click on a button and they've got a lesson that they can then adapt, and there may be videos to be able to complement that. I think we don't need to reinvent the wheel with such talented staff out there already. And why not use the knowledge that we have to be able to integrate our outdoors into the curriculum, map out the learning together to show the lessons, engage our parents and wider community, and at the same time allow our children to be involved and be the individuals they are. We can work together. This lady's really been at the base of sort of my vision as we move forward, Maria Montessori. It's a huge vision for our school, and I do know that we need to take it one step at a time to train, support staff and to show the impact on learning. But surely as practitioners who do know the benefits of good play, benefits of outdoor, benefit of taking risks, I suppose I'm setting you a challenge out there today. Are you prepared to be at the forefront of a new type of school that benefits the whole child? Because right now I am terrified about it and a little bit nervous about it, but I'd love you to come along on the journey with that. And I suppose just a final word really with the infamous Brian there, just to really remember the 3 basic rules, Brian, of Forest School. 2 whistles, come back. 3rd rule, have fun and to learn. And just thank you so much just for listening. I do have a few links that I can hopefully share with you. And I suppose just like the final slide, that what the educator does in teaching is to make it possible for the students to become themselves. And the minute we do that, the minute our children will start to thrive in our care. And as an educator, I feel that we desperately, that's what our job is. Just thanks very much for listening, folks.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Emma. Emma, that was a very old photograph, I have to say. Again, Emma's journey there. Emma has reflected on her journey and how she has, started the process of embedding, getting outdoors, using Forest School as that mechanism for the whole school. So that is a very exciting journey. And Emma threw out a lot of questions there about how can we collaborate, how can we share lesson plans. There's loads of good ideas. I've travelled to literally hundreds of schools throughout Northern Ireland. And there's lots and lots and lots of brilliant ideas. If you can capture those ideas and share them, I think that is definitely, a very good starting point. Emma talked about how, how within the school it was, it wasn't top of the list or anything else like that, and I can completely understand that. But it's about, again, starting the fire and then cascading throughout the school. And say we have a website, the Forest School Awards website, that enables, all of your staff, if they want to undertake the level 3. Because the whole idea is that if we can embed someone that has undertaken the training within that school, then they can pass on their experience and their values and ethos onto those people that they're training within the school. So it is a great facility that we hope people will use. Okay, so thank you to all of the panelists. So I'm going to see if there are any questions so far. Thank you, Danielle. So we have a couple of questions. Please keep on, if you go into your chat room, you can keep on putting up questions. So please do anything at all, no matter how how out there you think it is, it doesn't matter. Please put your questions forward and we will attempt to have an answer at them. Okay, so the question we have from Catherine and Emma is the problems that they faced and the problems regarding parents. Parents, how do we get parents on board? And again, as we saw over in England, they tried to open schools up. A lot of obviously fear, hesitation, just what are the problems going to be faced? So again, how do we convince parents that getting outside is something good? and what are those issues going to be with parents? Catherine?
Yeah, I'll maybe speak first, but I might not be the best qualified because, as I explained, I have come in where the journey was quite a considerable way along, and some of the barriers were overcome, and perhaps Emma therefore might be able to say more. I have to say, I have not really been aware. This has been going on in Jordanstown for about 4 or 5 years, and I have been in for 1 year, and I have not really been aware of resistance. It is, I suppose, it's embedded, and I certainly haven't really even been made aware that there were big challenges to overcome. Now, I don't know whether that's got to do with the nature of a special school, the fact that we're a small school. I don't know, but certainly parents are universally supportive and positive. They love that our children get outside. I did say I do love to see their resilience wrapping up and going out, but we're not, we do take account of the weather and the conditions, and we do have some wellies that they can put on. And I did say also we have an area right beside the school, much more sheltered. It's just a paved area with a willow tunnel and some raised beds, and we can use that if we feel that the children are going to be get dirty, and just communication with parents. So my experience has been wholly positive, but I appreciate I've come in somewhat along the way. Maybe Emma might have more to say about barriers.
Certainly, I think whenever we started our TOPS award journey, perhaps at that time were really when the more issues were. I mean, I could probably share with you a picture of a child literally head to toe in mud. But thankfully his parents and the Board of Governors was very understanding with that. It's about the reassurance, it's about communicating with parents, it's about sharing with them about what's happening. We do now, someone's mentioned about the all-weather suits. I think we did go on Amazon for them through the PTA had bought them. To be honest, they're not really used that often. I have to be totally honest with you. They were at the very, very beginning, but now they're not. It's about sharing their fits. We've produced a document, and again I can share it with you too, with the foundation team, about the benefits of learning and outdoor play and what it actually looks like. When parents see the benefits and their children engage in confidence, and I think probably lockdown has really supported that, because they've seen how their children are engaging in things, and the benefits of play. It's about reassuring them, listen, if it gets dirty, don't worry, wash it. Come in the next day, have a few changes, and keep a change in school. But certainly with their new P1, P2 provision there, I mean, they're out in all weathers, we're out in all weathers, or thunderstorms, we are outside, and it's just about ensuring that the children are okay, that they're okay when they're out as well. And just, when you see the benefits, it's just happens now. And then if there is an issue, you deal with it, you manage it. In one case, I did actually offer to bring a coat home and wash it myself in the washing machine. But just having that conversation with the parent, it was just enough to reassure that it was okay.
Thank you, Emma. Okay, I'm out there. Rich and Danielle might not like this. Emma, you talked about working collaboratively. We have a network of very enthusiastic, very, very dedicated forest school leaders and trainees. So in terms of, let's start this process then. So let's look at this issue then of parents and addressing parents' concerns. What I'm going to do is, same as we did with this webinar here, is to throw it out to all of our users. Richard will put it out to everyone that's logged on to Zoom. We will collate a series of questions that maybe schools have already faced, and maybe those answers that have come up, and then we will then have a webinar on how to address those issues that schools are facing about parents' concerns. Okay, so let's try that process and see if that's going to work. Okay, all we can do is try. Okay, some people got in touch and say, listen, how do we get involved in forest schools? How, and maybe some more specific questions as well. Can you get back onto the chat and put your email details down? And if you send, if you email me, don't put your email details down, but if you email brian.poots@gmail.com, and Richard will put that up now. So if you have specific questions relating to how to become involved or anything to do with that, please send it on. Richard's just sent it out there on the chat room. Also, a few questions coming in relating to funding. Funding is so difficult at the minute. It really, really is. There's been no additional money for schools. We applied for some funding to work with disadvantaged kids during the summer. We didn't get it. So funding is so tight at the minute. Again, our approach has always been try and help yourselves, do what you can yourselves. Don't put barriers in the way, find opportunities. We're trying to set up this thing called Forest School Families. So again, within your own community, there will be people that are passionate about what you're doing within the school, whether it's your governors, whether it's your parents, whether it's local SPAR or whatever it is. Again, it's something we want to try and do, is to develop a Forest School family within each school where local supporters can help you on your Forest School journey. But I think that is so important, and we don't want it to fail because of you can't get the outdoor gear or something like that. Let's look for opportunities to see how we can progress forward. Also, whilst you were talking about your settings and everything else, and say I've been to literally hundreds of different schools and nurseries, all of the settings are completely different, but I've never been to a setting yet where they can't undertake outdoor learning. There is somewhere available. I was in a wee nursery one time in Ballinderry. They literally had a tarmac car park that was tiny, but there was a field that was owned by a farmer, and they rent a corner of that field from the farmer for a very low rent every year. So it can be done. You will be able to find a space somewhere. And social distancing, we don't know how that's going to go, but they're talking about maybe you're going to have to hire community centres or hire the village hall, or how are you going to do that? Who knows? It's such a problem. But think about your outside space. That's a classroom in itself. Develop that. Spend the money and the resources in actually developing that outside space, because that's always going to be there for you. So on that note.